Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Some of you already know that I speak more than 5 languages, 2 of which I have picked up myself without a teacher. So I know perfectly that learning a language is never easy and language learning mistakes abound. But why is it so hard to learn a foreign language anyway? Put simply, it's because it challenges both your mind and time. To organize the process, many people search for the tools and resources to use, time management tricks to apply, and positive habits to develop for better training. That's all well and fine, but why so many language learners don't finish the path? Why do they keep repeating the language learning mistakes over and over again until they eventually give up? Once you have decided to learn second or third or maybe fourth language, you should understand it's going to be a challenge. But what can make the process even more challenging is that you falling into the common traps that you could otherwise avoid. What are these catastrophic errors standing between you and your goals? Here are my 5 language learning mistakes and how you can avoid them. Mistake number 1. Not speaking. Speaking is the only way to become a fluent. No matter how well you write, you need to speak a language if you are willing to use and improve it. It is the stage where fear of embarrassment rules and language learning mistakes are most obvious. You are afraid of mispronouncing the words or making grammar mistakes while you are speaking. And of course, you don't want to look stupid in front of the others. This fear hinders all of your endeavors. Memorizing tons of words and not being able to use them in a practice, this is not the way how language learning works. Speaking helps to see and correct the mistakes before they become ingrained in your passive vocabulary. So the more you speak, faster you learn. Mistake number 2. You think that language learning mistakes have to be made. The wrong belief of many learners, the harder is language learning process, is so better. In other words, they equal complication and effectiveness. Forcing themselves through difficult courses and feeling like they're investing effort into the learning. That's wrong. Sure, learning grammar, constructions and units far from relaxing and drinking cocktail on a beach, and yet it shouldn't be difficult and exhausting. Switch textbooks, use authentic materials, consider alternative learning techniques, communicate with native speakers to practice a target language, but don't turn the language learning process into a torture. Mistake number 3. You rely on only one learning method. Language learning mistakes are more common when you rely on just one learning method, but there are many methods to learn a language. Some prefer listen and repeat techniques. Others use grammar books, and you might ask an online tutor for help. All these approaches are fine, but it would be a mistake if you rely on only one. From my personal and sad experience of learning French at the college time, our teacher was using a read and repeat technique, which got a little bit boring after some time and eventually ended up killing my enthusiasm to learn the language. When using multiple learning methods, you practice all communication skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Some language enthusiasts believe that spoken and written languages are different, so the learners should master them separately, which makes it logical to consider the combination of training methods. I also love variety from getting stuck. When the textbooks don't work, I go and read children's books in target language because it's usually easy to understand and quick to read. And most importantly, it gives me the feeling of accomplishment, as I finish one book in 10 minutes without much of a translation, meaning I already know so much. That's kind of a good feeling, indicating that I'm actually improving. Mistake number 4. You don't listen. Do you know that some of the linguistic schools believe that language learning starts from silence? Just like a babies learn to speak by hearing sounds, you need to practice listening to learn a foreign language. It helps to see the patterns as well as reinforces your vocabulary and grammar and avoid language learning mistakes. While all people use these communication skills in everyday life, but many ignore listening when it comes to the language learnings, and how wrong they are. Personally, I love to listen to music, to audiobooks, and watch movies, TV shows in my target language. Listening should become your very best friend in language learning. Listen as much as you can. Mistake number 5. You translate. Too many students speak a foreign language translating from their native language with a lot of usage errors, and they fail to adjust and correct when the native speaker or the teacher doesn't understand them or uses different expressions. For example, in Russian, we say "вокруг света," around the world. If I would translate it word to word, it would sound like "around the light." Confusing, isn't it? It is natural to want to translate, but most languages don't say the things in the same way as the other languages. So while you might use the same words, but the patterns are different and has to be learned. For example, English idioms are most common in English in United States. So you can hear them in TV shows and movies, and you can learn them and use them in your daily conversation to sound more like of a native speaker. When learning a foreign language, try to understand its natural way of saying this or that phrase. Try to listen to native speakers and don't ignore their comments. Try to take advantage of foreign modules rather than going with your own weird version of that language. The more languages you know, the more human you are. These are the words of Czech philosopher Thomas Masaryk, motivates and inspires all of us to learn foreign languages down to the ground. So don't allow above language learning mistakes mislead you to a colorful journey to the countries, cultures, and human nature. I hope this video was useful. Thank you for being with me so far and see you on my next videos. Ciao!